The chamber was silent. Not the calm kind of silence, but the heavy kind that pressed down on everything inside it. The walls curved upward like the inside of a giant shell, smooth and dark, glowing faintly with blue alien symbols that shifted and moved on their own. The room floated high above the ruined surface of a conquered world. Outside, stars drifted slowly past the wide viewing window. It's cold and distant. In the center of the chamber stood a single human girl. She was young, no more than 16 by human years. Her hands were bound by thin bands of glowing energy, yet she stood straight. Her clothes were torn from capture, her boots dusty from the streets below. A small cut marked her cheek, dried blood dark against pale skin. Still, her eyes were steady. She did not cry. She did not beg. Around her, 6 alien figures formed a wide circle. They were tall and thin, their bodies covered in smooth armor grown from living material. Their faces were long, with deep-set eyes that glowed faint green. These were the Mind Readers, one of the most feared orders in the alien empire. Entire species had surrendered after a single mental scan. To them, thoughts were doors. Memories were rooms. Fear was a weapon. "This will be quick," said the lead Mind Reader. His voice echoed softly inside the chamber, translated into human language by unseen systems. "Her kind has weak mental barriers." The others agreed without speaking. They had read thousands of minds before this one. Soldiers, leaders, children. Humans were known to resist physically, but mentally they always broke. The girl heard the words. She lifted her head slightly, but said nothing. A low hum filled the chamber as the Mind Readers activated the link. Thin threads of light stretched from their foreheads toward the girl's temples. The air grew colder. The symbols on the walls pulsed faster, reacting to the connection forming. The moment the link touched her mind, something changed. One of the Mind Readers stiffened. His body jerked as if struck. "What is this?" he hissed. Images flooded the shared mental space too fast, too loud. Not screams. Not panic. Something worse, fire. Cities burning under dark skies. Humans running, not away, but toward danger. A woman holding a child and stepping into the flames anyway. Soldiers standing their ground long after hope was gone. Pain, layered upon pain, not erased. Not forgotten, stored. The second Mind Reader cried out and broke the link, stumbling backward. "I felt pressure," he said, breathing hard. "Like the mind was watching me." "That is impossible," the leader snapped. "Re-engage." They did. Deeper this time, the chamber lights flickered. Now they saw memories of loss. Not dramatic, not loud. Quiet funerals. Empty rooms. Names carved into stone. Humans learning to live with holes inside them and continuing forward anyway. The weight of it crushed down on the alien minds. There was anger there, but it was controlled. Locked behind rules, choices, lines that humans decided not to cross. Until they had no other option. Another Mind Reader screamed. He tore himself free, collapsing to one knee. His armor dimmed, reacting to his panic. "She is not pushing us out," he gasped. "She is allowing us in." The leader hesitated for the first time. The girl finally spoke. "Are you done?" she asked quietly. Her voice was calm. Not brave. Not defiant. Just tired. The leader stared at her, his glowing eyes narrowing. "You will remain silent." But his words lacked certainty now. He reached out alone, forcing a direct and deeper link. No shared safety. No buffer. Instantly he felt it. The restraint. The terrifying part was not the violence in her mind. It was the control over it. Humans knew exactly what they were capable of, and they chose every day not to become monsters. That choice took effort, discipline. Willie saw something else then, a simple thought. Buried deep and held tight. If we must become monsters to survive, we will. The link shattered. The leader staggered backward as if struck by a physical blow. The room went dark for a moment before emergency lights flared back to life. The symbols on the walls froze, then slowly resumed their movement. Silence returned to the chamber. The mind readers looked at one another, shaken. No species had ever done this to them. No mind had ever turned their own weapon. Back against them without attacking, the girl stood exactly where she had been before. Her hands were still bound. Her face was still calm. "You wanted to know what we think," she said. "Now you do." No one answered. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the mind readers felt something they had never learned to defend. Against fear, and deep within the alien empire's most secure chamber, the truth began to spread slow, quiet, and unstoppable. The human mind was not weak, it was restrained, and that made it terrifying. The silence after the failed mind scan felt heavier than before. The alien chamber was still intact, but something unseen had cracked. The mind readers stood farther from the human girl now, their perfect circle broken. None of them spoke at first. Their glowing eyes kept drifting back to her, as if expecting her to move, to attack, or to smile. She did none of those things. She only waited. The lead mind reader finally straightened his posture. His armor slowly regained its glow, but the confidence was gone from his voice. "This subject is unusual," he said carefully. Unusual was not a word the Empire used lightly. Another mind reader turned away from the girl and faced the others. His breathing was still uneven. "We have read warrior minds filled with rage," he said. "We have read prey minds filled with fear. This was neither." "What did you feel?" asked one of the younger readers. The answer came slowly. Depth, layers, rules placed upon violence, not to remove it, but to control it. The leader's eyes narrowed. "Humans are known to be emotional, unstable," the reader replied. "But emotions are not weakness. They are fuel." The girl shifted her weight slightly. The energy bindings adjusted, tightening just a little. She winced, but said nothing. The leader noticed. "You feel pain?" he said, almost testing the idea. "Of course," the girl answered. "I'm human. The pain exists in your memories," he continued. "Yet it does not overwhelm you." She looked up at him then. "It's always there," she said. "You just don't let it drive." The mind readers exchanged looks. They did not like simple answers to complex problems. Simple answers often meant truths they could not control. A communication tone sounded softly in the chamber. A distant alien voice spoke through the walls. Calm and official. "Report the result of the mental scan." The leader hesitated. For the first time, he did not know how to describe what had happened. "Partial failure," he finally said. "Unexpected resistance." There was a pause. "Clarify resistance." The leader looked at the girl again. She met his gaze without challenge. "Without fear, the subject's mind did not attack," he said slowly. It endured. Another pause, longer this time. "That is not possible," the voice replied. "All minds resist invasion." "Humans do not resist the same way," the leader said. "They absorb." The channel went silent. One of the mind readers stepped forward, braver or more curious than the others. "Why did you not fight us?" he asked the girl. She considered the question. "You weren't the enemy," she said. "You were just looking." "It makes no sense," the reader said. "It does to us," she replied. The leader raised a hand, signaling the reader back. "We will conduct another scan," he said. Controlled. Observational only. Several mind readers reacted at once. "That is unwise," one said. "She allowed us in before," another added. "What if that was a choice?" The leader froze. A choice. That thought settled heavily among them. No species had ever allowed a mental invasion without resistance. Not willingly. "Not calmly. Proceed," the leader ordered, though his tone lacked force. This time, only a surface connection formed. No deep dive. No forced memories. The moment contact began, they felt it again. Not images. Not sounds presence. The human mind was aware of them. Not surprised. Not threatened. Aware, it was like stepping into a Dark room, and realizing the room had always known you would. Enter. The connection pulled back on its own. The leader cut the scan. That is enough, he said. Sharply, the mind readers retreated, shaken. The chamber light steadied, but the air felt different now. It's charged with unease. She is not trained, one reader said quietly. There are no mental shields. No conditioning. Then why does her mind behave like a fortress? Another asked. The leader did not answer immediately. He was replaying what he had felt during the deeper scan. That buried thought. That quiet promise of violence held in check. Finally, he spoke. Because humans do not erase their darkness, he said. They live beside it. The girl listened. She did not interrupt. You believe this makes you strong, the leader continued. It doesn't, she said softly. It makes us careful. The word echoed. Careful species did not rush into extinction. Careful species remembered pain and learned from it. Careful species waited. The leader turned away from her and faced the viewing window. Outside, stars drifted past, systems already marked for conquest. How many of your kind think this way? He asked without looking at her. All of us, she answered, in different ways. That answer disturbed him more than anything else she had said. A single dangerous mind could be destroyed. An entire species shaped by endurance was something else entirely. The leader made a decision then, though he did not yet understand its full weight. This human will be held, he said, not for punishment, for study. The girl nodded once. That was always going to happen. He turned back to her sharply. You expected this? She met his eyes again. You don't read minds to let people go. The leader said nothing. As the guards moved closer, the girl added one last thing. You looked into my thoughts, she said. What you felt wasn't fear of me. The leader paused. It was fear of yourselves, she finished. The chamber doors began to close, and far beyond the floating chamber. Deep inside the alien empire, unease spread like a slow infection. They had tried to read a human mind. Now, they were afraid of what they had learned. The holding chamber was smaller than the first one. It was built for observation, not display. Smooth walls, pale light, no windows. The human girl sat on a low platform in the center, her hands still bound, her feet resting flat on the floor. She looked calm, but inside her chest, her heart beat steady and strong. She was thinking. She was always thinking. Outside the chamber, behind a transparent barrier, the mind readers gathered again. They had argued for a long time. Some wanted to stop. Some wanted to erase her mind entirely. Others believed that what they had seen was only the surface of something far greater. The leader stood apart from them, silent, listening. She is a risk, one reader said. Every scan leaves a mark on us. We cannot rule a species we do not understand, another replied. And we cannot understand them without looking deeper. The leader raised a hand. One scan, he said. Deeper than before, controlled. If anything changes, we end it immediately. No one argued. Fear had replaced pride. They entered the chamber together this time, not forming a circle, but a line. There would be no shared mental space. Each reader would touch only what the leader allowed. The girl looked up as they approached. You're going back in? She said. This is not a request, the leader replied. She nodded. I know. The connection began slowly, gentle this time, like stepping onto thin ice instead of diving into deep water at first. There was nothing then. Came sound, not noise, rhythm, breathing, footsteps, heartbeats. The human mind was filled with patterns, learned over years. The aliens felt muscles move, lungs burn, hands shake and keep going anyway. They saw a child learning to fall and stand again. Not once. Hundreds of times. Failure was not an end. It was a step. Then came fear. Not raw panic, but sharp moments. Dark alleys. Loud skies. The feeling of being small in a world that did not care. The aliens expected collapse here. Instead, they felt choice. Fear appeared, was acknowledged, then placed aside. The mind moved forward with it, not away from it. One of the mind readers whispered, She is. Carrying everything. leader pressed deeper now, memories sharpened. Humans standing together in disasters. Hands reaching out, even when there was nothing to gain. Sacrifice without command. Pain shared, not hidden. The aliens struggled to process it. Their species avoided pain. They removed it when possible. They erased memories that weakened efficiency. Humans did not erase. They remembered. The deeper scan reached something different now. A place where thoughts slowed. Where decisions lived to here. The leader felt the terrifying truth. Violence existed here. Clear, detailed, imagined, and understood. But it was locked, not buried. Not denied. Locked by rules. Rules the human mind had written itself due. It's not strike first. Protect the weak. Endure. And the final rule. Heavy and cold, if all else fails. Survive at any cost. The leader felt his control slip. The human mind did not panic at his presence. It adjusted. It adapted. He realized then that this was not a scan. It was a meeting. The girl spoke inside the link, her voice calm, closer than before. "You keep looking for monsters," she said. "That's why you're scared." The leader tried to pull away, but the connection held. "You think darkness means chaos?" her voice continued. "For us, it means responsibility." Images surged forward without force. Humans stopping themselves. Again and again. Turning away from easy cruelty, carrying guilt. Carrying regret. Choosing restraint because they knew what would happen without it. The leader felt something crack inside his thoughts. "Why show us this?" he demanded. "Because you already came," she replied. "And because you won't forget." The connection began to destabilize. Alarms flickered along the chamber walls. Energy readings spiked. One of the mind readers collapsed, clutching his head. Another tore off his neural focus and screamed, "End it!" Someone shouted. The leader forced himself to disengage. The link snapped. The girl gasped softly. "What?" Leaning forward for the first time. Not in pain, but in release. The chamber lights dimmed, then steadied. Silence returned. The mind readers backed away, as if the girl were no longer bound. None of them spoke. The leader looked at her. Truly looked at her for the first time. She was breathing harder now. Sweat dotted her forehead. But her eyes were clear. "You saw it all," she said. He nodded once. "What you do next is your choice," she added. Choice, the word followed him as he turned away. Outside the chamber, the mind readers gathered in shaken silence. No victory. No data report could explain what they had touched. "She wasn't defending herself," one said. "She was teaching us." The leader closed his eyes. They had searched for fear. Instead, they had found discipline. They had searched for weakness instead. They had found restraint stronger than any shield, and deep within the Empire's vast systems. A new realization began to form, quiet, dangerous, and impossible to erase. If humans ever stopped choosing restraint, nothing in the galaxy would stop them. The days after the third scan passed slowly. The human girl remained in the observation chamber, but the way the aliens treated her had changed. The guards no longer stood close. The energy bindings were loosened just enough to allow movement. Food was brought regularly. Water was clean. No one spoke harshly to her anymore. They watched her instead. She noticed it, of course. Humans always noticed changes in behavior. She sat, she ate, she slept, and sometimes she walked small circles on the floor. She never tried to escape. That confused them more than resistance ever could. Outside the chamber, the alien council gathered. This council ruled dozens of systems. They had erased worlds without hesitation. Yet now they argued like frightened novices. "She is only one counselor said. "We are allowing fear to guide us." "She is not one," another replied. "She is proof." "Proof of what?" demanded a third. The lead mind reader stood before them, silent until now. His presence carried weight. His kind rarely spoke in councils. "Proof that humans survive by choice," he said, "not by instinct alone." The room fell quiet. "They do not lose control," he continued. They hold it. Every memory, every wound, every violent thought, they do not erase them as we do. Then they are inefficient, a counselor said. The mind reader shook his head. No, they are patient. That word settled uneasily among them. Patience was dangerous, the council ordered the girl. Brought before them, the chamber doors opened, and she was escorted into the vast council hall. It was larger than anything she had seen before. Tall pillars of living stone rose into darkness. Light drifted like mist above a floor carved with star maps. She walked calmly, her hands free now. Hundreds of alien eyes watched. Her warriors, scholars, leaders. She stopped at the center. You wanted to. Speak, she said. The simplicity of her words echoed through the hall. The highest counselor leaned forward. You allowed our mind readers into your thoughts, he said. Why? She thought for a moment. Because you were going to enter anyway, she answered. I decided how. A murmur rippled through the chamber. You understand what you are? Another counselor asked. She looked around. A prisoner, she said. A human. You are a warning, the counselor corrected. She nodded slowly. That too. The lead mind reader stepped forward. You showed us restraint, he said. Why not show us rage? Why not fear? The girl looked at him directly. Because rage without control is just noise, she said. And fear without action is useless. Then what did you want us to see? He asked. She took a breath. That we live with our worst thoughts, she said. We don't pretend they aren't there. We don't erase them. We teach ourselves when not to use them. Counsel listened, uneasy. And if restraint fails? The highest counselor asked. Her eyes hardened slightly. Not angry, honest. Then we stop choosing it, she said. The room felt colder. You are saying your species holds back destruction by will? Alone, the counselor said. Yes. And if threatened with extinction? She did not answer immediately. When there is nothing left to lose, she said finally, we become very focused. The council exchanged glances. This was not a threat. That frightened them more. The lead mind reader spoke again. During the scan, you said something, he said. That we were afraid of ourselves. She tilted her head. You are explain. You erase pain because you're afraid of what it would make you, she said. We keep pain because it reminds us what not to become. The words struck deep. The council had removed pain for generations. They believed it made them superior, clean, controlled. Now, they wondered what they had lost. You believe this makes humans better, a counselor said. No, the girl replied. It makes us dangerous in very specific ways. Silence followed. The highest counselor stood. What do you want? He asked. She was surprised by the question. I want you to leave us alone, she said. Not because we're weak, because one day we won't be. The council did not answer right away. Finally, the leader spoke. You will be returned, he said. Not as a prisoner? The girl raised an eyebrow. Then what? As a reminder, he said. She nodded. That works. As she was escorted away, the council remained behind. Shaken, they had invaded a human mind expecting secrets. Instead, they had learned a rule older than empires, a species that chooses restraint. Every day is far more terrifying than one that never had to. And deep in the silence of the council hall, the future quietly shifted. The council's decision did not bring peace. It brought delay across the alien empire. Systems waited for orders that did not come. Fleets stayed in orbit. Invasion schedules paused. Commanders asked questions and received silence in return. That silence spread faster than any signal. The human girl was moved again, this time to a transit chamber near the edge of the station. She was no longer guarded by weapons, only by watchers. They observed her through clear panels, recording everything: how she walked, how she rested, how she reacted to nothing at all. She noticed the change. They're afraid to decide, she said quietly to the escort who brought her food. The escort said nothing, but his eyes flickered in the council hall. The arguments grew sharper. We should end this now, one counselor said. Delay shows weakness. Rushing shows fear, another replied. The highest counselor listened, hands folded. We are not afraid of the human, he said. We are afraid of what follows her. The lead mind reader stepped forward. We must consider scale, he said. One human mind showed restraint layered over violence. That pattern repeated across billions would be unpredictable. Every species has violence, a counselor snapped. Yes, the mind reader replied. But not every species trains itself to stop. The room quieted. What if restraint breaks? Someone asked. The mind reader did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice was low. Then it will not break randomly. It will break with purpose. That idea unsettled them more than chaos ever could. The council requested one final report, a comparison scan. Not of the girl, but of captured data from other human minds, taken during earlier failed invasions. Old scans. Dismissed scans. Considered weak, the results returned within hours. The same pattern appeared again and again. Loss, memory, control, choice, different lives. Same structure. The council stared at the data in silence. This is not coincidence, the highest counselor said. No, the mind reader agreed. It is culture. At the edge of the station, an alert sounded. A human transmission had been detected. Not a military signal, not a threat, a message. The council brought it up on the main display. The signal was old, scattered, pieced together from many small sources. It showed humans rebuilding shattered cities, teaching children, standing guard over graves, laughing in the dark. One counselor frowned. Why show this to us? They are not sending it to us, the mind reader said. They are sending it to themselves. The implications settled heavily. A species that remembered itself did not disappear easily. The council turned back to the girl. She was brought in once more, not to stand before them, but to sit. A simple chair was placed at the center of the hall. No restraints. You are being returned, the highest counselor said. But not yet. She waited. We need something from you, he continued. She looked up. You already took it. No, he said. We need understanding. She considered that. That's harder. Then start simple, he said. If we leave your species alone, what happens? She answered honestly. We keep going. And if we return later, then we remember, she said. The counselor leaned back. That sounds like a threat. It's a fact. The lead mind reader studied her. Do humans know how dangerous they are? He asked. She smiled faintly for the first time. Not happy. Not proud. Yes, she said. That's why we make rules. A silence followed, deep and long. Finally, the highest counselor stood. We will withdraw, he said. From all human-controlled systems, gasps rippled through the hall. For now, he added. The girl nodded. That's all anyone can promise. The council issued the order. Across the empire, fleets turned away. Invasions were canceled. Outposts went dark. The official reason was never announced. Only a quiet directive circulated among high command. Avoid mental contact with humans. Do not provoke. Observe only from distance. The girl was escorted to a small transport vessel. The lead mind reader watched as she stepped inside. You changed nothing, he said to her. She paused at the doorway. That's not true. He tilted his head. You changed yourselves, she said. You just haven't felt it yet. The door closed. The vessel departed, as it slipped into the dark between stars. The alien empire stood still for the first time in its long history, not because it had been defeated, but because it had looked into the human mind, realized that some weapons were held back on purpose, and that restraint, once understood, could never be unseen. The withdrawal did not bring relief. It brought uncertainty. Across human space, alien fleets vanished from borders that had burned for years. Surveillance systems showed empty orbits where warships once waited. Outposts went silent. For the first time since first contact, the pressure eased, but no one celebrated. Humans did not trust sudden peace. The girl's transport vessel crossed into human-controlled space without escort. No alarms sounded. No defenses fired. She sat alone in the small cabin, watching stars drift past the viewport. Her hands were free now, but her shoulders felt heavier than before. She knew what she carried. Not secrets. Not weapons. Memory. When the ship docked at a human station, officials were waiting. Soldiers stood ready, weapons lowered, but active. Medics watched her closely. A woman in a dark uniform stepped forward. "Name?" she asked. The girl answered. "Where have you been?" The woman asked. The girl paused. "Inside their heads," she said. The woman studied her face, then nodded once. "That's about what we expected." The debriefings lasted days. The girl told them everything. The scans, the fear, the council. The decision to withdraw? She described the alien minds with care, not hate. That surprised the officials more than anything else. "You're not angry?" one asked. "I am," she replied. "But anger doesn't help you explain things." Her report was sealed, copied, and sent to the highest levels of human command. No public announcement followed. Humans did not rush to boast or threaten. They prepared. Across Earth and its colonies, quiet changes began. Defensive networks adjusted. Training programs shifted focus. Not toward rage or revenge, but toward endurance, toward unity. The girl was asked to stay, to teach, to advise. She refused most offers. "I'm not special," she said. "I was just available." She agreed to speak to small groups, and larger ones, soldiers, leaders, civilians. She told them what the aliens feared. "Not our strength," she said. "Our control," her words spread. Far away within the alien empire, the pause began to fracture. Not all leaders agreed with withdrawal. "They are stalling," one commander argued. "They fear us." "No," another replied. "They fear what we cannot predict." Reports filtered in from border observers. Humans were not celebrating. They were rebuilding, repairing worlds, strengthening alliances, remembering losses without erasing them. The lead mind reader reviewed these reports in silence. "They are preparing," a counselor said. "This is our chance to strike first." The mind reader shook his head. "They have always been preparing. Then why retreat?" the counselor demanded. "Because," the mind reader said slowly, "they are preparing without hatred." That confused them. Hatred was easy to understand. It burned fast and burned out. What humans were doing was slower, more dangerous. The council split. Some pushed for renewed invasion. Others argued for permanent distance. The Empire had never faced such division before. Their unity had been built on certainty. Now certainty was gone. A probe was sent small, unmanned, designed only to observe. It slipped close to a human colony, scanning surface activity. What it recorded was unexpected. A memorial. Humans stood together in silence around names carved into stone. Names from wars old and recent. Names from alien attacks. No speeches. No vows of revenge. Just remembrance. The probe recorded children being taught history, not glory. Consequences. The data reached the council. "They teach their young about failure," one counselor said. "Yes," the mind reader replied, "so they do not repeat it." The council grew quiet. Back in human space, the girl stood at the edge of a city being rebuilt. Towers rose from ruins. People worked together, slow and steady. A soldier approached her. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "When?" She looked at the sky. "When they forget what they saw?" The soldier frowned. "And if they don't?" "Then they'll stay away," she said. "And watch." The idea of being watched did not comfort him. "It's better than being underestimated," she added. Months passed. The galaxy adjusted to the pause. Trade routes shifted. Borders stabilized. Stories spread, half rumors, half warnings. Among the aliens, a new rule entered their training. Do not enter a human mind. No explanation followed. None was needed. The lead mind reader dreamed now. That was new. He dreamed of locked doors and quiet promises. Of violence held back by choice. He woke each time with the same thought. They are not peaceful. They are restrained. And restraint could be released. Far away, the girl watched ships lift into the sky from a rebuilt port. Humanity moved forward, scarred but focused. The war had not ended. But something more important had begun. Both sides now understood the same terrifying truth. The next choice would matter more than any weapon. And the human mind would never be invisible again. The pause lasted longer than anyone expected. Years passed without open war. Borders held. Fleets watched from far distances. Messages were rare and careful. The galaxy learned to live with tension instead of fire. Humans changed, but not in loud ways. They rebuilt worlds slowly. Cities rose where ruins had been left to warn. Schools taught history without hiding the cost. Soldiers trained not just to fight, but to stop fighting when needed. Every lesson carried the same quiet message. Control matters. The girl grew older. She never became famous. Her name was classified, her story shared only in fragments. To most people, she was just another survivor. She worked, she taught when asked. She refused ranks and medals. Medals make people forget the lesson, she once said. Far away. Inside the alien empire, forgetting was harder. The lead mind reader aged as well. His kind lived long, but something had changed in him. He felt weight where none had existed before. He remembered things now, moments from scans he once would have erased. Faces, fear, choice. The empire was no longer united. Some leaders wanted to return to conquest. Others believed distance was survival. Border incidents flared and faded. Probes were lost. Signals went unanswered. Then it happened. A human colony ship disappeared. No wreckage. No message. Just gone. Human command did not panic. They investigated. They listened. They waited. Weeks later, alien sensors detected movement. Unauthorized task force, operating without council approval. A faction. Old thinking, the council reacted too late. By the time they regained control, the human fleet was already moving, not fast, not loud. But together the girl stood in a command chamber, watching stars slide past the viewport. She had not planned to return to this place. None of them had. A commander turned to her. They took civilians, he said. What happens now? She closed her eyes briefly. Now, she said, restraint ends. The human response was precise. No planets burned. No species-wide attacks followed. Instead, the rogue alien task force was isolated, surrounded, and cut off from support. Supply lines vanished. Communications were jammed. Humans did not rush. They waited. Inside the trapped alien fleet, panic grew. Their tactics failed. Their threats meant nothing. They felt watched, studied, contained. The lead mind reader was brought in by the council. Pulled from quiet exile, you understand, humans? The highest counselor said. Speak to them, the mind reader hesitated. They will not negotiate the way we expect. Try, the counselor demanded. The connection opened. Not a scan, not invasion. A message. The girl appeared on the shared channel, older now, steadier. Her eyes held the same calm. You broke the rule, she said. We did not order this, the council replied. That doesn't matter, she answered. You taught them once? You forgot. The mind reader felt the truth of it. What will you do? He asked. We will end the threat, she said. Not the empire. The rogue fleet was disabled within hours. Crews were captured. Civilians were recovered unharmed. No celebrations followed. No speeches. The humans withdrew. The council released a final directive across the empire public this time. It's undeniable. Never invade a human mind. Never test human restraint. Never assume silence as weakness. The lead mind reader watched the transmission spread. He felt relief and something like regret. He requested one last private channel. The girl accepted. You were right, he said. We were afraid of ourselves. She nodded. And now? Now, he said, we remember. It's good, she replied. Memory keeps people honest. The channel closed. The galaxy settled again, but it was not the same. Humans were no longer underestimated. Aliens no longer rushed. Both sides watched each other with careful distance. The story of the human girl became a quiet warning. Passed between stars and half-spoken phrases, they looked into her mind. They saw what waits behind restraint. They chose to step back and own a rebuilt world under a clear sky. The girl walked among others who carried the same hidden weight. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. It did something far more terrifying. It proved that when restraint is chosen every day, the choice to release it belongs only to those who remember why it was held back.